Dan, we've already messed it up. Welcome to the show after the show.
Vault Unlocked.
This is the Vault Unlocked. The Vault Unlocked. We are here with Ben. If you haven't seen the first part of the show, then it's on YouTube. This is after episode number 7, is that right? Or 8? 7? 8. I'm confused now.
78, just put it out there.
After episode 9.
Is it?
Keep up, mate.
I think it's 8, isn't it?
No, 8's been filmed.
We have been filmed. We haven't put that up yet.
No.
Okay, after episode 9, this is we're starting something brand new called The Vault Unlocked. If you are just watching The Vault Unlocked and have no idea what we're talking about, then The Vault Podcast is the first part of this show.
Well, first, then welcome.
What?
This is the first thing you're watching, then welcome.
Well, and welcome. Welcome to being part of our team.
Yeah,
we want to be on your team.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be on our team. Now, we're going to start off by introducing Ben, if you haven't met him. Ben is the Hillsong Kids Creative Pastor at our Hills location in Sydney, Australia, at church, and he has bringing to us. This is the first one we're doing in the series called Vault Unlocked. So we're going to see how it goes. The session today is called The Keys of the Key Team.
Ooh,
Look at that.
Double keys.
Double keys.
Double keys. So, Ben, take it away.
Sweet. I'm pumped to get to chat with you guys.
Come in closer to your mic there.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm too far away.
Just
This is new
closer.
to me. Chat.
Not too close.
This is like totally new for me. So
Yeah,
What,
that's
pumped.
great.
Microphones.
well, no, being filmed while you just have a conversation.
Exactly. Well, you can pretend you're presenting to us. However we do it, this is the first one, so we don't know how this is going to go. You may never see this on YouTube.
That's right.
Take it away.
So I'm going to chat to you about the keys of Key Team and to our whole team. You guys are our team as well.
Yes.
I am one of our younger kids pastors on staff. I haven't been around for too long, but I've been in kids ministry for quite a while. My mum was a kids pastor for like 20 odd years.
Wow.
And came on serving in a kids team when I was 11 and have done that for the last 12 years. So I've learned a couple of things, but I'm still learning, and this is like a process of what I've gone through learning the last little while. So I thought it'd be cool to share something out of what I've learned recently and something I'm real passionate about, which is I'm super passionate about people in our volunteer teams, and I'm passionate about seeing them flourish in our areas, specifically in our kids ministry areas. And because if they're flourishing, the kids receive the best fruit of that, I reckon. Mm-hmm. And I think that the kids are then receiving the healthiest team, they're receiving the best, preaching, best teaching, the best family support as a whole. And especially in creative as well, they're receiving the most engaging praise and worship we can deliver on a Sunday morning, with Jesus being there. But a key team are the people that look after different areas within your team. So someone may look after the team that looks after your 1 to 3 year olds. Someone may look after your event side. They take care of your head counting, making sure all your kids are safe, all those kind of things. You may have someone else that looks after your praise and worship side of what you do at your location or whatever it may be for you. So it's a gathering of all those people together. And this is a cool quote. I love Maxwell. He's a vibe. Him and Craig Rochelle are so good. But everything rises or falls on leadership. And it's a cool thing because it's on what the key team is and why you should do it. The main reason is because everything does rise and fall on leadership. You want to make sure you have a healthy leadership in your kids ministry area. Because I think this can help. It'll make or break what you're doing. Because my biggest heart is I don't want anyone doing anything by themselves. That sucks. No one likes doing things by themselves. So if you're doing things together in a community, I'm super pro-community. I think it's one of the best gifts God's given us, is the idea of being together. But if you can do things together in a leadership context, I think it's going to make you a win. You'll be able to be more engaged in what's happening in your church, what your pastor, your oversight wants you to be doing in there. You can help, deliver that in the most effective way possible. So you can start focusing on the most important thing in your kids ministry, which is the kids and is the people, and not so much focusing on, making sure there's craft on the tables, but you've got people that can help look after that for you. The next slide, which is Bible verse, because Bible is very important. It says, don't be selfish, don't try to impress others, be humble, thinking of others as better than yourselves. Don't look out only for your own interests, but take an interest in others too. This for me is like the key. If you want to have a key team, this is what it's all about, is having, not being a hierarchy, these are the people that report to me, but rather these are the people that have given up their time to serve my team. How can I serve and equip them to do their roles the best way they can? What am I doing to make sure they're fulfilled in what they're doing on a Sunday? What are they doing during the week? Are they feeling like they're winning? And because of that, that is the way Christ wants us to do. Leadership in Christ's world is not, barking orders, but it's rather, coming under people and supporting them and seeing them flourish in different areas.
It's collaboration, not competition.
Oh, that's good. Collaboration, not competition.
I like it.
So I simplified what we're going to talk today into 4 things. I'm going to call it a tote, like a tote bag.
Totes.
So when you go into your key team, you want to make sure you take your tote bag with you. So the first thing is trust. Why do you want a key team? You want a key team, like I said, to help make sure your area is running. You don't have to do every little thing yourself. You're empowering other people to lead in different areas. You're also giving a new way for people to rise up and step into new things and grow, because people aren't growing, they tend to feel like they're not being used to the best of their ability. And so you want to create pathways for people to grow within ministry, and also you want to create like a big loop of your kids' ministry where a kid comes in, they begin serving, and they do the whole loop up to then being the one that teaches the kid to serve and to lead and that kind of stuff, which I think is the goal in everything we do, is to create a giant generational loop in our leadership and make sure it's continuing long term.
A generational loop. I like that idea.
So trust. You want to make sure the people on your team trust you and you trust them. I think for me, at the moment, I oversee our Hills Campus Kids Creative Team, and I know for a fact I've known them all for a little while now, and I trust them. I trust what they're thinking. I trust what they're going to do is, in line with what we want as a kids ministry as a whole, and as what Pastors Brian and Bobby want in our church and our kids ministry as a whole, especially in the specific area of our creative team. And they can trust that what I'm saying and what I'm doing isn't for the best interest. I'm not just, saying random things because of random sake. I'm not saying, let's do this. This is really important for no reason. Like, they understand there's heart behind it, because we've built trust and rapport through years of getting to know them, finding out their story. You want it to be personal. You don't want it to just be because what we do isn't a workplace. We're not a business. We're a church. So we're not in the business of church either. We're actually just, we want to get along with people and work with people and find out their stories and work with them that way. So you want to make sure you have them trust, because if you can trust someone well, you can trust them to do things and handle things for you. So like, I know I can trust, I can trust my friend Chris to worship lead on a stage, because he's done it for 10, 15 years, and he knows exactly how to get the kids engaged. Whereas if it's someone who I've just met coming onto team, the trust factor isn't quite there, because I don't know who you are, I don't know where your skill set it's even at, I don't know what your initiative is like, so the trust isn't quite there. So you have to build that over time, and that comes through maybe giving them tasks and stuff to do to find out where they're at. And just doing life with them as well, and finding out, hey, what is life like for you? What's your family like? And you build a relationship, and through that relationship, you actually grow trust.
Oh, can we guess?
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen these.
Right.
Next one's O.
O for, I'm going to say for orange.
I'm going to guess ownership.
Ooh, ownership. Close, but it's organization.
Oh.
This one is really important, because I'm not the most organized of people in the world, but I think this is the most effective way to have your team running well. And the main reason is it's out of respect for your team is a big thing, I reckon, and our respect of what we're doing. Because if things aren't organised, people feel like their time is being wasted. People feel like what they're doing doesn't matter, because there's no structure, there's no organisation to what you're doing, and therefore no one knows what's happening. What's happening on a Sunday from start to finish, that kind of vibe. People need to know what's happening, every little detail. When do kids get dropped off? What do we do after that? What happens if I have a kid singing with me on stage? Do I need to have 2 leaders with me singing on stage? All those kind of things. You want to make sure everything is organised and clear cut. As people on your key team know in depth all those things, because they're the ones who are on the ground and going to be talking to your team a lot of the time about these kind of things. So if they don't know what's going on, then your team doesn't know what's going on. And if you're the only person that knows what's going on, that's not going to be fun for anyone. That'll be a train wreck waiting to happen. So organizational structure, I think, is super, super important. The next one is another T.
Yeah, T. I'm going to say teaching.
I'm going to say truth.
Nah. Targets.
Targets.
This is one that I've actually learned from my boss, Matt, being very specific with what your goals are in a team. So what is the goal of your kids ministry on a Sunday? What are you actually trying to achieve how do you know if you've achieved what you wanted to achieve on a Sunday? How does your key team know if they've done well on a Sunday? How do they know if the person overseeing the 1 to 3 year olds has actually done a good job that week? How does a worship leader know if they've done a great job that week? Have you sat down and talked to them about what it is to win on a weekend? What is it to actually succeed well? So that is really important, I think, because you need to make sure everyone's on the same page with the winners. Because if you have an expectation that a win is if A, B, and C happens, but the key team member thinks a win is what Z, Y, X happens, that's not going to be good for anyone. And that person again there's not a trust factor there as well, because you don't feel like they're doing what you're asking, and they don't feel like they're not winning either, because they feel like they're doing a good job, but you say, no, you're actually not doing a good job. So targets and goals, I think, are really important. And that's just for every sphere of life as well. You need to make sure you're aiming for stuff, because if you're not aiming, you'll hit anything. So
absolutely.
You want to
if
make
people
sure
are trying to grow a team, you need to know exactly how many people, not an approximate number.
No.
Set yourself a very specific goal. of how many people you need to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
And don't be shy of dreaming big.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to talk about. I remember when I used to oversee one of our services, I sat our key team down. We have about 6 or 7 of us. I think it was 7. I gave everyone an A3 piece of paper and I said, all right, what I want you to do. And in that team, we had dads, we had young uni students, we had Bible college students, we had a range of different people at different spheres of life. And I said, all right, I want you to sit down, draw up how many leaders you have currently on a weekend. What do you have? What is the bare minimum that you can actually run this program safely? I wanted them to look at those things. And I went, all right, now forget those 2. Now, what is the goal? What if you could have, any volunteer in the world rocked up on a Sunday? What would you have? Every single position, like written down, what they would do in that position. And the team went like awesome. They had all these. They'd never thought about it that way. They just thought about getting through a Sunday sometimes and making sure they had people. And once they sat down and had those goals, when we started getting new volunteers, and they knew exactly what they wanted that person to do.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think the big thing we forget when we want volunteers, we have no idea what we want the volunteer to do. So if you say, hey, volunteer on team, you're like, great, like, what am I doing? And you're like, oh, you're just, kids ministry. Like, you're hanging with the kid. If you can't actually verbalize and what you want someone to do, I don't think it's going to be very beneficial for them. And
100%.
it's like, if you go for a job interview, it's totally side note, but if you go for a job interview and you ask what the job and they said, oh, well, you'll just find out as you go. Like, I'd be very hesitant to know more about it. Whereas if you can give someone a structure, like this is what you expect on a Sunday, this is what you're going to do, and you pinpoint it to something where you can see they're flourishing already in, or they've said, I like to do these kind of things. Great, I have already a position, we need a volunteer to do this. And like, oh, these are the kind of things I like to do. You've already that's a goal right there, and you've had someone to fulfill that goal you've had.
Yep.
Which is really cool.
Really good.
All right, the last one.
I'm ready to guess.
I reckon I know what this is.
Expectation.
I'm going to say execution.
Oh, I like both of those actually, but it's encouragement.
Ah,
Hey, you encouraged us. That was amazing.
I do like those ones.
I like
He
that.
didn't say, those ideas suck, it's encouragement.
Maybe you change it to Tote E.
Tote E. I was actually listening to a podcast not long ago, and it was talking about what is it to be an inspiring leader in your team. Because I think a lot of people who watch, and this is me myself, you think an inspiring leader is someone who gets up and says an incredible speech, and you're like, wow, I can't wait to do something awesome like that. But then you also think, I'm not the most gifted at speaking. Like, I'm not great at.
I could never do what they do.
Yeah, 100%. You think that, but there was this great thing I was listening to. And it came out of this big business organization thing, and they started researching what type of things are inspiring, like what skill sets are inspiring, and they came up with 33 different things that actually an inspiring leader has. Some of them were like, what are some of the ways you can be an inspiring leader? Is have emotional self-awareness and emotional expression, being positive around people. Those are ways you can be an inspiring person. Because it's not just what you say, it's how people see you in situations. Like, how do you go when there's a stressful morning on a Sunday? How do you cope with that? Because if you seem to be real calm, cool-headed and getting stuff done still, that's inspiring to a lot of people in that situation. They go like, wow, that's really awesome. I love the way they're doing that. Or another way is following through with what you say you're going to do, being unselfish and celebrating the wins on your team. Those kind of things as well, they're inspiring. Seeing people's wins. So, uni student finished their last exam, celebrating that, going, hey, you finished your exam, that's awesome. Or one of your members on the team just bought a house. They're celebrating the wins in their personal life, making them feel valued. And because they're giving up time to come help on your team, you need to make sure you know what's going on in their worlds as well. Not just about what's happening with you on a Sunday. And then following through on what you say, I think that's really important. When you say we're going to do this, you actually follow through with it. Hey, we need these resources in a room. Great, I'll get you those resources for that room. And you follow through with that. Like, oh, he's actually listening to what we ask and what we say. And then you're following through with that kind of stuff. Being humble, empathetic, and listening and engaged in their lives. There are other ways you can also be super inspiring to people. A key team is all about giving away the authority you have to other people to lead.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think that's the big thing. You mentioned it before in the podcast we just did. But what you want to do is you're actually giving bits of what you oversee away, not because you're taking whatever your role is as a key volunteer or a pastor, so you're not doing those things, but you're actually giving the opportunity to someone else to raise up and have authority over that. You don't want to give people tasks because then you create followers. What you want to do is give people different authorities because then you're going to grow leaders in your team.
Yep.
So you want to make sure you're actually giving away authority, not just saying, hey, can you do this job? But hey, I want you to make sure this happens. That's it. The last thing I wanted to talk about is how do you get people onto your key team? When is your next key team is a good one? So are you going to actually lock in a date? And what are you going to do? I know for me, my key team structure is we have lunch together and we figure out problems together. I buy them all pizza, or we do bread roll sandwiches, or whatever we can do, and making them feel valued, because food's awesome, and Jesus always gathered around food. So I think
Correct.
it's a super spiritual thing as well, to gather around food. But also, like, you finding that place to meet them, and you have a structured. I always had a run sheet of what's going to happen in our key team meetings.
Right.
And just to make sure we actually tick things off and got through stuff. Like, even on there, I had celebrating that I'd write down the wins I knew happened to people. So everyone knew what's coming in someone's life. So writing a list for your next key team. What are you going to talk about? What are the goals you want to have in mind? And then who are the potential team members that could become key team members on your team? So who are the potential key team? Yeah. Who are the potential key team members on your team? So that means who is in your team already that has the potential to become a key team member, who has the potential to step in and start overseeing stuff for you. I think this is really important, to make sure you're not just thinking to get through a Sunday, but are you actually thinking for the future in mind with what you're doing in kids? Because with kids, everything is very future focused, because what we're teaching, what we're learning, it's a bit different to if you're in youth or Powerhouse on church, where there's radical salvations you hear every week. What we do in kids, and I love the way that in the style in which you communicate and preach a lot in your teaching, is that you're actually teaching kids life skills that they apply throughout their days. And it gets to the point we keep teaching them this stuff, that when they're older, they've already got this stuff figured out, and they're not having a radical change later. And they can, but we want to build upon that every day. So what are the potential you're seeing in your team at the moment? And one quick thing before we finish I want to talk about is, how do you spot the bright spots in your team? So how are you finding the potential key team members around in your volunteering areas? So how do you find those kind of people? Well, you want to look for the bright spots within your team. So people with great ideas, they're innovative thinking, they're asking questions, they're being proactive. You're looking for those areas in your team where new stuff's happening all the time and you're not asking for it to happen. And people are coming with ideas. I love so much when someone comes up to me and they said, I've thought about doing this, and I've already made this kind of program I thought would be great, or this new idea for our praise and worship set this service, and I've run it. This is what it's going to look like. And it may be a horrible idea in the end. That doesn't matter. The fact they're thinking outside and trying new things, I love that so much, because it means they've bought into what we're doing. They're 100% in. They care about it, and they want to see it grow and get better. Yeah. And I'm like, that's awesome. I would 100% have someone come with 100 different bad ideas constantly, rather than someone just sits and waits to be told to have an idea. Absolutely. I think that's really cool. And the cool thing is, with finding potential key team members, you don't need to, like, sports teams have talent scouts. It's a skill you can learn. Like, it's not just something you're born with. I think it's a skill you can actually learn and grow in, to find the potential in your key team members. So you just got to, there's lots of great resources out there to help looking to potential leaders like Craig Rochelle and Maxwell and all that, to help you find the best key team members. I think is really cool. But to wrap it up, kind of these questions, ask yourself at home, but also ask yourself, like, what am I doing on a Sunday that's actually helping to release authority to new team members? What am I doing on a Sunday that I could get someone else to come do, so I can focus on meeting the families as they come through the doors and find out what's going on in their worlds? Who can I raise up to help look after the KDGs, or the look after the rostering of these people in this area, so that then on a Sunday I'm not worrying about who's rocking up to their rosters, but actually talk to the kids and engage with the kids and focus on what we're doing in those things as well.
And it's okay to work yourself out of a job.
100%.
Because then you'll have the space to take the ministry forward.
Exactly. I think that's the goal in everything we do. I think I always have the mindset of how do I work myself out of it, so it's not that I lose my job, but it's more about how can this be so well structured and well run that volunteers are making something that the church is paying for happen. Volunteers are making it happen themselves now. Yeah. I think that's a cool idea, because as a church, we don't have unlimited budget, especially in kids ministries. You can find your budgets tight, but you've got people there everywhere, and there's people with so many amazing gifts and talents, and you just got to look out for them and make sure you are, lift your head up on a Sunday instead of looking down on what you're doing in your hands that week, and look up for a few minutes.
The generational loop, and that loop if it's not looping around the same jobs, it's raising the level, raising the bar. Thank you, Ben. This has been the very first ever Vault Unlocked. Is that what I called it?
Yeah, I think
Vault Unlocked.
I think it's good.
I think it's a good start.
It's wisdom hidden within the wisdom.
If you're a leader in church life, as a volunteer or on staff, when is your next key team? If it's going to be your first one, then set a date, and who are the potential key team members on your team if you've never had one before? Yeah. Thanks very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on the Vault Podcast or the Vault Unlocked.